The freak tornadoes tearing through Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, these past couple of days have surely freaked you out, and we do hope for the survival of those living in those areas. But what if I told you these were just a bite of taste of what nature can unleash? Because today, we're about to count down the 10 deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history that'll make you rethink disaster preparations. On June 8, 1953, a half-mile-wide F5 monster ripped through the Beecher community of Flint, Michigan. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, leaving 116 people dead and 844 injured. Imagine this, a twister on the ground for 27 miles, obliterating 340 homes. A 4-mile stretch of Coldwater Road became nothing less than a massive graveyard. It was a tragedy that shook the nation. For decades, this Flint tornado held the grim title of the last single tornado to kill over 100 people in the U.S. It was a record that stood until the devastating Joplin, Missouri tornado of 2011. But that's not all. This day was a whirlwind of destruction. And before everything settled, 7 other killer tornadoes touched down across the country, pushing the total death toll to a staggering 141. It's June 12, 1899, and the Goldmar Brothers Circus is in town. New Richmond, Wisconsin, is buzzing with excitement, and little do they know, a deadly storm is brewing. The National Weather Service says this tornado started as a waterspout on Lake St. Croix, spinning its way towards New Richmond. Before even hitting the town, it claimed 3 lives on nearby farms. Just as the circus wraps up, the tornado tears through the heart of New Richmond. The path of destruction was 3,000 feet long and 1,000 feet wide, leaving 300 buildings in ruins. Flying debris became deadly projectiles, killing 117 people. It's heartbreaking to think that 26 families lost multiple loved ones. The National Weather Service says this tornado was easy to spot, and that's probably what saved even more lives. In late April 1908, a swarm of tornadoes ripped through the South, from Louisiana to Georgia. It was a scene of utter chaos, leaving 324 people dead. One of those tornadoes was a real monster, which was responsible for almost half of those deaths. Starting near Weiss, Louisiana, it carved a path of destruction all the way to Wayne County, Mississippi, a staggering 160 miles. This F4 tornado, with a damage path up to 2 miles wide, left a trail of heartbreak. 143 people lost their lives, and 800 were injured. The towns of Amite and Purvis were hit the hardest, with 29 and 50 deaths. Notably, only 7 homes out of 150 were left standing in Purvis. This devastating outbreak was a wake-up call. The Storm Prediction Center says it helped reignite interest in documenting tornado outbreaks. You see, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, tracking tornadoes wasn't a top priority, but this tragedy showed just how important it is to understand these powerful storms. The story of the Joplin tornado left an unforgettable mark on Missouri. On May 22, 2011, a mile-wide EF5 tornado with winds topping 200 miles per hour ripped through the city's heart. Just picture a 6-mile-long gash of destruction. The Storm Prediction Center reported 158 people lost their lives, making it the deadliest single tornado in the U.S. since 1947. It was a tragedy that shook the nation. The tornado's wrath was unimaginable. 7,500 homes were damaged, displacing over 17,000 people. Cars, trucks, buses, and even semis were tossed around like toys, crushed, rolled into balls, or wrapped around trees beyond recognition. Some owners never even found their vehicles. And the cost? Even after adjusting for inflation, the Joplin tornado became the costliest in U.S. history, racking up a staggering $2.8 billion in damages. The Woodward Twister started near Canadian, Texas, and traveled a whopping 100 miles before finally ending near Alva, Oklahoma. Along its path, it claimed 181 lives. Before even reaching the Oklahoma border, this tornado wreaked havoc in the Texas Panhandle. The towns of Glacier and Higgins were left in ruins, with 69 people losing their lives. But the destruction didn't stop there. Once in Oklahoma, the tornado tore through rural areas before hitting Woodward. 100 city blocks on the west and north sides of the city reduced to rubble, killing 107 people and injuring over 1,000. It's a story of 2 states, 2 communities, and a single tornado that left a lasting scar, a reminder of how these storms can travel incredible distances, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. Can you imagine what happens when 2 tornadoes merge into one monstrous force of destruction? Well, that's precisely what happened on the morning of April 6, 1936. 2 twisters, one from the west and the other from the southwest, converged over Gainesville, Georgia. The result? A 4-block-wide path of destruction, claiming 203 lives. The city's central business district was practically leveled, with buildings buildings collapsing like dominoes. Even the county courthouse couldn't withstand the fury of the storm. The Cooper Pants factory was a scene of utter tragedy. The building collapsed and caught fire, claiming the lives of dozens. The heartbreak was even deeper, as 40 people were never found, officially declared missing. This devastating tornado wasn't the only one to strike the South that week. And just a day before, another tornado, the fourth deadliest in history, hit another southern city. It was a time of unimaginable destruction. Yes, that's the Tupelo twister, the number 4 on our list, that violently tore through Mississippi, claiming 216 lives. It actually began the unimaginable destruction by spawning more than a dozen tornadoes in the next 2 days. The tornado ripped through the north side of the city on the evening of April 5th, leaving a half-mile wide path of destruction, with 200 homes destroyed and entire families wiped out. This monster was on the ground for 15 miles, leaving behind $3 million in damages. It's a stark reminder of the power of these storms and the devastation they can unleash. This tornado was a force of nature, tearing through St. Louis on May 27, 1896. It started in Tower Grove Park, then bulldozed its way through downtown, crossed the Mississippi River, and continued its rampage through East St. Louis. This massive tornado left a trail of destruction in its wake. Over 8,800 buildings were either damaged or destroyed. Even the iconic Eads Bridge, designed to be tornado-proof, lost 300 feet of its eastern approach. This monster twister claimed 255 lives, making it the third deadliest single tornado in U.S. history. It's only surpassed by the Natchez, Mississippi tornado of 1840 and the number 1 tornado on our list. But St. Louis has a history of extreme weather. On April 10, 2001, the city was hit by a supercell thunderstorm that unleashed a hailstorm with hail the size of baseballs. The insured losses alone were $2.3 billion, with thousands of cars, homes, and even aircraft damage. The second deadliest tornado in U.S. history hit Natchez, Mississippi, about 20 years before the Civil War. Just think about a twister tearing through a city just before the nation was torn apart. This monster touched down about 20 miles southwest of Natchez, then followed the Mississippi River, hitting Natchez Landing before finally coming ashore and tearing through the city. It's estimated to have been an F5, a true beast of a storm. The official death toll is 317, but reports suggest 269 of those lives were lost when flatboats were sunk on the river. And the actual number of victims might be even higher, as the deaths of slaves weren't always recorded in that era. And finally, we have the Tri-State Tornado, the deadliest in American history, that struck nearly 100 years ago on March 18, 1925. It started in southeastern Missouri, crossed the entire width of southern Illinois, and finally dissipated in western Indiana. This tornado was on the ground for 3 hours and 29 minutes, traveling an astounding 219 miles. It's the longest-lived and farthest-traveling tornado in U.S. history. This storm hit populated areas in an era before modern weather warnings and strong buildings. The death toll was staggering. 695 people lost their lives, and countless more were injured. Some experts debate whether it was truly one single tornado for the entire duration. But regardless, it's the deadliest tornadic storm in U.S. history by a significant margin. This story reminds us of the power of nature and the importance of being prepared. Although we've learned a lot about tornadoes since 1925, this event will forever be etched in the history of American weather. So let us know in the comments what you think about tornadoes and how you'd prepare for them. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, press the bell icon for instant notifications so you never miss a video from Factastic Trivia.